Right. So before we start back, let's just do a little review of some of the things that you may, well, I hope that you recall, right? So tricks has to do with the sides and angles in the right angle triangle, right? So let's say this is triangle A, B, C. Can anybody tell me which side is the hypotenuse in this triangle?
Miss
Which side?
AC.
AC is the hypotenuse. Excellent.
AC.
Perfect. So AC is the hypotenuse. It's the side that is opposite the right angle. And then if I were to put an angle at C, and let's say that's my angle of reference, which side will be my opposite side?
AB.
That's right. AB will be my opposite side since it is opposite that angle of reference. And then the third side, well, there's only one side left, which is your adjacent side. Good. Do y'all remember the different ratios? What are they called? Anybody remembers what the different ratios are called? Yeah,
Sine, theta, tangent, and cosine.
that's right. Sine, cosine, and tangent. That's cool. What about the sides that they represent? So the sine of an angle, let's call the angle theta, right? What would be the two sides that make up the ratio, the sine ratio?
Hypotenuse and
The
opposite.
opposite and the hypotenuse.
That's right. The opposite and the hypotenuse. Good job, guys. So, right? You'll remember so, ka, toa, right? What about cosine? Which two sides make up the cosine?
Miss
Hypotenuse and adjacent.
Adjacent and hypotenuse.
That's right. Ka, adjacent, and hypotenuse. And then finally, tangent is,
Opposite and adjacent.
that's right, toa, opposite and adjacent, right? So we have the acronym SOH. SOH stands for sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and TOA, tangent, is opposite over adjacent, right? So let's just recap what we did last week, which is finding an unknown angle when given two sides of the triangle. So say I have a triangle. All right, this is my triangle here. And let's say the angle in question here is x, right? And the hypotenuse is 6 centimeters, and the opposite is 3 centimeters. Which ratio would I use to find that missing angle x? Any idea? First things
So,
first. Yeah, absolutely. First things first is we need to label the sides, right? Now, if this is at my angle of reference, this would be the opposite side, and this is the hypotenuse. So it means that I would recall that the sine of an angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. This symbol here is called theta, the Greek letter theta, which just represents the unknown angle, but I'm just going to change it to x since I have it as x here anyway. All right, so sine of x is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, which means that the sine of angle x here is equal to the opposite, which is 3 over the hypotenuse, which is 6. Therefore, sine of x is equal to, well, 3 divided by 6 is a half or 0.5. So x is equal to sine inverse of 0.5. I want everybody to check that on your calculator for me, just so you'll recall how to use your calculator to find the angle. Right? Sine inverse of 0.5. To just refresh your memory, you would have to press the second function sine of 0.5. So second function sine 0.5 equal.
Miss, I don't have my calculator, so I use my phone.
Okay. Do you have a scientific calculator on your phone?
Yeah, I can see sin, cos, and tan.
Right. Are you saying second to get the second function? Because if you're just seeing sine, cos, and tan, that would just be like that would just be sine of the angle, but we need the sine inverse. So maybe if you take a screenshot of your calculator and send it to me on WhatsApp, I could tell you what to press. Anybody else has their calculator and was able to work out the sine inverse of 0.5?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, what you got?
30.
Yeah. Anybody else got 30? The answer is 30 degrees. Sine inverse of 0.5 is 30 degrees. All right. So another one. Let's say we have I don't know why I'm not using the ruler to draw the triangles. I'm being very bad. You all write these down now? Please write your solution down exactly as I have mine. You notice all my equal signs line up under each other. Each new line has a new like a new equation, basically. Not a new equation, but a new part of the equation that I worked out. So I don't want to see like sine x is equal to 3/6 is equal to 0.5 is equal to sine inverse. No. All right. I want to see it written clearly, each new line with a new part of the working. Soraya, I think you have to press, you see that first key that has the two arrows? Like a arrow
Yeah,
going in that way. Press that and see if the next page gives you sine inverse, cos inverse, and tan inverse.
the double arrow, miss.
Yeah, that one. This one, let me show you. I'm circling it.
Oh, yeah, miss, I see it. I
Yeah, so
see sin dash one,
yeah,
cos dash one, tan dash one.
perfect. So you might have to press that arrow to get the inverse functions. So you'll press that arrow, press the sine to the -1, which means sine inverse, and then press 0.5 and equal and see if you get 30. Hi, Safira.
Miss.
I
How are
did
you?
miss.
You got it? Perfect. Good. So let's say this side is 2 centimeters and this side is 5 centimeters, right? Um, and my angle of reference is here. So the first thing, Sophia, you weren't here last weekend.
No, but I already learned of what are they doing right there.
Oh, great, excellent. Perfect. So you will be able to fall right in. The video from last week's class is online as well.
Are they doing sign right now?
We're doing trigs. So we're looking at the sine, cosine, and tangent. We're using it to find unknown angles.
Oh, so they're doing all. I just learned sign.
That's okay. It's the same, so like it's the same steps for each of them. It's just that you use a different function. So for instance, you all, which sides do I have here in this triangle? In triangle two here. Which sides are given to me?
And that's the hypotenuse and the adjacent.
The hypotenuse and the adjacent, right? So very good. The hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle. So that means 5 centimeters is the hypotenuse. And then the side next to the angle or adjacent to the angle of reference is your adjacent side. So which ratio, guys, uses the adjacent and the hypotenuse?
Cos.
That's right.
Cosine.
Cosine, right? So cos of angle x is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And now let's substitute our values in there. Well, the angle is x. We're trying to find x. The adjacent is 2 and the hypotenuse is 5. So cos of x is equal to 2 divided by 5, which is 0.4. So then x is equal to cos inverse of 0.4. Guys, no matter what, um whenever you find an angle, you have to use the inverse trig functions. That is cos inverse, sine inverse, like that, right? So therefore, x is equal, y'all work it out for me, cos inverse of 0.4.
That's 66.42.
Yeah, I got that.
66.42.
66.42, yeah. 66.42 degrees to 2 decimal places. The rest of you are y'all getting these because I'm only hearing from Zane and Soraya right now. So
Yes,
are
ma'am.
y'all okay? Good. Perfect. Right. So I'm writing 3 here for you. I want to see your working, and I want to see your full working for the next 3 questions that I'm going to put here on the screen. Okay. Um, all right. So, Safira, the other 2 ratios are cosine and tangent, right? Cosine, you use the adjacent and the hypotenuse, and tangent, you use the opposite and adjacent. But the steps to find the angle is the exact same thing, except instead of sine, you would write cos if it was the adjacent and the hypotenuse that you had. And for tangent, you would use the opposite and the adjacent.
Okay, miss. Thank you.
Right? So give it a shot for me. I'm gonna put some, either take a picture of this if you didn't copy it down already, because I'm gonna put the ones on that I want you to do now on the other page, but I want you to write out your solution exactly as I have mine. Right. So oops, sorry. Sorry, not 12. I made a mistake. This is 16. Make sure the first step is to label your triangle, right? Label the sides of your triangle, because that's the only way that you will use the correct ratios. If you label your triangle incorrectly, you're gonna end up using the wrong ratio. All right. So the hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle. The opposite is the side opposite the angle of reference. And the adjacent, well, the adjacent is the third side. Good. So try these out for me, please. And I'm gonna write the ratios at the bottom here, just so that you would recall what they are. It's sine of an angle theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So I said I was gonna use x, right? Cosine cos of an unknown angle x is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and then tangent of an angle x is equal to opposite over adjacent. I'm going to help you. I'm going to even go a step further and label the sides in all of these triangles. All right. So in number 3, if x is my angle of reference, the opposite side will be 16 because that's opposite the angle of reference. And then the hypotenuse will be this side that's 25 cm, since it's opposite to the right angle. In number 4, the side opposite my given angle here is 5, so that's the opposite side. And then the other side, the adjacent side will be this one since it's adjacent to the angle of reference. In number 5, my opposite side is 2 centimeters because it's opposite the angle of reference. And then the hypotenuse will be 8 centimeters since it's opposite the right angle. And finally, in question 6 here, the opposite side is 10 centimeters because it's opposite the angle of reference. And the 30 centimeter one, the side with 30 centimeters will be the hypotenuse since it is opposite the right angle. I'm giving you all 5 minutes to finish the rest. Okay, right. So the first one, number 3, it's sine, right? Because sine uses the opposites and the hypotenuse. So therefore, sine of x is equal to 16 over 25. Now, you could actually just leave it as 16 over 25, and you could just say that x would be sine inverse of 16 over 25. That is completely fine. Or you could have worked out 16 divided by 25, which is 0.64, and then find the sine inverse of that. Either way, you're still going to get the correct answer. So the first one, the answer is 39.79. 39.79. If you rounded it off to 2 decimal places, it'll be 39.79 degrees. If you rounded it off to 1 decimal place, it'll be 39.8. But I was not clear with how many decimal places to round it off. So 2 is fine. All right. Or 1, whatever you did is fine. All right. The next one, we have the opposite and adjacent, which is the tangent. All right. So tan of x would be the opposite side, which is 5, over the adjacent, which is 12. So x would be equal to the tan inverse of 5 divided by 12. Like I said in the previous ones, I worked out what the fraction was equal to, what 3 over 6 is as a decimal, but you don't need to do that. You can literally type it in on your calculator as tan inverse of 5 over 12, and you'll still get the correct answer, which is 22.62 if you round it off to 2 decimal places. All right. Number 5, we have the opposites and the hypotenuse. So that again is sine. So that would be sine of x is equal to the opposite, which is 2, over the hypotenuse, which is 8. So therefore, x will be equal to the sine inverse of 2 over 8, which gives me sine inverse of 2 over 8 gives me 14.48 degrees. And finally, number 6, which is also sine, will be sine of x is equal to opposite, which is 10 over the hypotenuse, which is 30. So therefore, x is equal to the sine inverse of 10 over 30, which is, 10 over 30, which is equal to 19.47. If you round it off to 2 decimal places. So far, everything that you all sent me looks good. Sorry, you checked it back. You checked back what that sine inverse was for part 3.
Well, I did everything, and for some reason I got 80.79, but I'll check back more.
Okay. We'll just leave it for the while, but the answer is 39.79, okay? All right.
Okay.
Good. Guys, let us now look at so far. Oh wait, Safira, did you get through with these taking the sine inverse?
I know how to do it on my calculator, but I'm getting way more different answers what you have gotten.
I'm wondering if your calculator is in radians. Um, are you seeing RAD at the top of your screen in your calculator?
I'm seeing DEG.
All right, DEG is correct. So when you take sine inverse of 16 over 25, what are you getting?
I'm getting 0.011.
You're not pressing sine inverse, that's why. Sine inverse to get sine, huh?
But I pressed it though.
You sure? To press sine inverse, you have to press second function and sine, not just sine. On your screen, you should be seeing sine to the power of -1 like this. Are you seeing that on your screen?
No, I'm using a scientific calculator.
No, I know. But it's supposed to say when you press, you can't press sine alone because if you find sine of 16 over 25, you're gonna get 0.01169. Is that what you get?
Yeah.
So that's not correct. It's not the sine of that. It's the sine inverse that you have to find. So the sine of 6 over 25 would be, 16 over 25 is not the same as the sine inverse. So what I'm telling you that you need to do is you have to press second function. What kind of calculator you have? A sharp?
Yeah.
Right. So press second function and press sine after you press second function. And on the screen, you should see sine to the power of -1 like that. Are you seeing that?
Where's second function?
Second function would probably be to the left-hand side under home.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so press second function and then press sine and tell me if you're seeing sine to the power of -1 come up on your screen.
Oh, yeah. Now
Yeah,
it's good.
good.
Yeah.
And now you take that of 16 over 25. So after you get sine inverse on the screen, press 16 over 25 and press equal and tell me what you get now.
I got that error.
Okay, so erase it and start over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go again. So press second function sine. You got that?
Yeah.
Good. Now press 1, 6
Yeah.
and the fraction key, which is A by B over C thing,
Oh. Uh-huh.
and then 2, 5
Mm-hmm.
and press equal.
Okay.
What are you seeing on your screen now?
The correct answer. What you got?
Right. So that's what you'll have to do for all of them, right? So for when you're finding an angle, anytime you have to find an angle, you have to take the inverse functions of the ratio. So if sine x is equal to 16 over 25, then x will be the sine inverse of 16 over 25. If tan x is 5 over 12, then x will be the tan
Excuse me, miss.
inverse of, yes, honey?
I'll have to leave now.
Okay, love, no problem. I'll send you the recording, okay? So watch the rest of the recording.
Okay.
All right. Okay, bye. Right, Safira, back to you, honey. Tan inverse, if tan x is equal to 5 over 12, then x would be tan inverse of 5 over 12.
Okay.
Right? And so on. So whenever you find the angle, guys, you have to use the inverse functions. Otherwise, you're going to get crazy answers. The next thing is to make sure your calculator is in degrees and not radians. So at this point, we're going to look at finding an unknown side. When you're finding the unknown side, that's when you use the straight sine, tan, or cos. You don't need to use the inverse functions for this part, right? So we're going to look at finding an unknown side. Given an angle and one side. All right, so for this, actually, I'm gonna be good and use the ruler to draw the shape. Okay, so let's say we have um okay, so again it's a right angle triangle. Oops. Oh gosh, this is so bent. Anyway, doesn't have to be perfect once you know what it is. All right, so we have a right angle triangle here. All right, this angle over here is 50 degrees. All right, and I want to find this side marked X. Okay, and then they give me this side here. So I have one side and one angle, and I need to find the length of that side marked X. First thing first, let us label the side that we have. What side do I have here, guys? This side of 15 centimeters is what side of the triangle?
The hypotenuse.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hypotenuse.
that's right. It's the hypotenuse. And the side marked X, what side is that?
The opposite side.
The opposite.
That's right. It's the opposite side, right? So which ratio uses the opposite and the hypotenuse?
Sine.
Sine.
So
That's right, sine. All right. So we're going to use that. So we're going to recall that the sine of an unknown angle theta is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. And now we're going to substitute our values in there. So in this case, theta, your angle of reference, is 50 degrees. So the sine of 50 degrees is equal to the opposite side, which is the side I'm trying to find, mark X, over the hypotenuse, which is 15 centimeters. At this point, this is what I do. I put this side over 1, and whenever you have two fractions on either side of the equal sign, you can cross multiply to get rid of the fractions. Cross multiply means I multiply x by the numerator here. Sorry, the numerator on one side by the denominator on the other side. So I'll say x times 1 is x, and then sine 15 times sine of 50. 1/5 sine of 50. So on your calculators, that is exactly what you're going to type. 15 sine 50. Not sine inverse, just straight sine. So 15 sine 50 equal. And tell me what you got. 15 sine 50.
yes, I got 11.50.
11. Well, let's round it up to two decimal places. So that'll be 11 what?
Yeah, 11.50.
Not 11.49?
Yes, I got
Yeah,
11.49.
yeah, specifically.
Yeah. If you round it off to one decimal place, saying it'll be 11.5. But two decimal places literally means you want to look for two places behind the decimal point, right? So the straight number is 11.49066666. Since the digit after 9 is 0, then you wouldn't do anything to the 9 and it will just remain as 11.49. It'll only be 11.5 if it was rounded off to one decimal place. So X here, guys, is 11.49 centimeters, and this is rounded off to two decimal places. Is that okay, guys?
Yes, miss.
All right. Let's look at um, let's look at another one. Say hold on, I have a whole bunch of them here. Okay, so another one could be, let me draw it. Oh gosh.
Miss,
Yeah.
again, problems with my calculations.
Really? Tell
So
me what's going on.
I sent you
Yeah.
a video what it looking like.
All right, I'm checking it now. Let me just pause it for a while and check what it's showing me. Okay, say this one. We need to find, oh, not y. I want to keep using x, right? So this is x centimeters. Um, this angle here is 45 degrees. And this side is 12 centimeters. Again, the first thing that you need to do, guys, whenever you're doing tricks is to label your sides, right? So that you know what you're working with. The side that's marked x centimeters is which side?
Yeah, hypotenuse.
Yes, that side is the hypotenuse. And then the side that's marked 12 centimeters is the
Adjacent.
adjacent. That's correct. All right. So which ratio uses adjacent and hypotenuse, guys? People, which ratio uses adjacent and
Cosine.
hypotenuse? Cosine is correct, right? So let's recall that the cosine of an angle, so the cosine of an angle theta is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. All right. And now let's substitute our values in there. Well, theta, our angle of interest in this case is 45 degrees. So cos of 45 degrees is equal to the adjacent side, that's 12, over the hypotenuse, which is x. All right. Put both sides, well, put the side with cos over 45, put that over 1 and cross multiply. All right. So be careful with this part. So cross multiply and you'll say cos of 45 times x. So I'll write that as x cos 45, and then that is equal to, well, 12 times 1, which is 12. All right. Now, if x times cos of 45 is equal to 12, that means x will be equal to 12 divided by cos of 45. All right, so y'all could check that 12 divided by cos of 45. Matthias, what you would have to do is you'll have to do this like a little differently, right? So you would say cos of 45 is equal to, so on your calculator, check what cos of 45 is for me.
Is the answer 8.48?
Let's see, 12 divided by cos of 45. So what you're gonna have to do first, Matthias, is instead of writing cos of 45 here, you're gonna have to work out what cos of 45 actually is before you divide. So it'll be x is equal to 12 divided by, check what is cos of 45.
Yeah.
What's cos of 45?
Saying 0.70.
Yes,
Seven.
0.707. Let's take it to 4 decimal places, right? Just to be safe. So so you would have to say x is equal to 12 divided by 0.7071. All right, and then work that out. 12 divided by 0.7071. And tell me what you get.
16.97.
That's correct. 16.97. The rest of you, did you get 16.97?
Yeah, miss.
Yes, miss.
Perfect.
Yes,
That's the
miss.
correct answer. Wonderful, right? So x is equal to 16.97. So Matthias, you and I would work it out like that, okay?
And
All right, let's do another one, guys. Let's say we have, so just to go over the steps again, you identify, you name your sides so that we use the correct ratio, right? So in this first one, we had the opposites and the hypotenuse, and we have our angle of 50 degrees. So the ratio that uses opposite and hypotenuse is the sine of the angle. So sine of our angle of interest is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. That means that sine of 50 degrees is equal to the opposite side. In this case, that's the side we're trying to find, that's x, over the hypotenuse of 15. So now, once we have that, anytime you have an equation that has fractions on both sides, or a fraction on one side, you could put the other side over 1, because that will be a whole number, and then you cross multiply. So you say numerator times denominator, numerator times denominator. So I said 1 times x is x, and then sine 50 times 15, and I got 11.49. In the second one, it was cosine because we had the adjacent and the hypotenuse. So what we did is we used the ratio, we recall the ratio that cos of an angle is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Then we substituted the information from the question into that ratio. So that would give us cos of 45 degrees, our angle of reference, is equal to the adjacent side, which is 12 centimeters, over the hypotenuse, which is x centimeters. And once we got that, we put cos 45 over 1 so that we have two fractions on either side, and we cross multiply. So cos of 45 degrees times x is equal to 12 times 1. And then we said, therefore, if x times cos of 45 is 12, then x will be 12 divided by cos of 45. All right, so let's do another one. Hopefully we have maybe like a tangent one. Let's see. So this is a triangle. All right. In this triangle, this angle here is 30 degrees. This is my right angle. I want to find this side marked X, and this side here is 10 centimeters. All right, so first things first, we label our sides. And this is the third example we're doing. Right, so we label our sides. Which side is marked X? What side of the triangle is X, guys?
The opposite.
The opposite. Good. And the side that's marked 10 is what side?
Hypotenuse.
Hypotenuse.
Are you all sure? The side with 10?
Adjacent.
The adjacent. Yeah. The hypotenuse would have been this side here, because that would be opposite the right angle, right? So we have the opposite and the adjacent. Which ratio uses opposites and adjacent? Guys, which ratio uses opposites and adjacent?
Tangent.
Tangent.
Tangent. That's right. So we say tan of an unknown angle x, in this case, let's use theta, is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent side. That's what we're using to solve the question. All right. So now let's substitute our values there. It'll be tan of the angle of reference, which is 30 degrees, is equal to your opposite, that's x, over the adjacent, which is 10. All right, so we put this over 1 and we go ahead and cross multiply. So x times 1 will be x, and that is equal to 10 times 30. 10 times tan of 30 degrees. All right, so you all go ahead and work that out. Matthias, you and I, though, are going to do x is equal to 10. Let's work out what tan of 30 is first. So it'll be 10 times tan of 30. Tan of 30, Matthias, what is tan of 30?
0.5773.
That's right. So it'll be 10 times 0.5773, which will give me what, guys? 10 by tan of 30 is?
Yes, I got 5.773.
That's correct, right? Let's take it to two decimal places. So 5.77 cm. That's the answer. Cool. I'm gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna give you all the exercise. So it's something to do for me. Okay, let's say we have So guys, so when you're finding unknown side, you just use the straight function, tan, sine, cos. When you're finding um angle, you have to use the inverse functions. Oops. All right. So good. All right. So let's say this angle here is 56 degrees. This side is X and this side is 35 degrees, 35 centimeters, sorry. Okay, which sides do I have there? What side is X?
The opposite side,
Yes, X is the opposite side. And what side is 35?
the hypotenuse.
The hypotenuse, excellent. So this would be the hypotenuse. Perfect. So let's recall which ratio uses opposites and hypotenuse, guys?
Sine.
Sine.
Sine, that's right. So sine of angle theta is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. And let's substitute our values in there. So this would be sine of 56 degrees is equal to opposite, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 35. All right. So this would be, you cross multiply, x by 1 is x, and sine 35 times sine of 56 will be 35 sine of 56. Well, that means x is equal to 35 times whatever sine of 56 is. Sine of 56 I got as 0.829. So therefore, x is equal to 29.02. Guys, is this okay? Let me see. Josh? Josh, is that okay?
Yes, miss.
Joshua, what about you?
Yes, please.
All right. So Zane? Zane, is this all right? Where's Zane?
Yes, miss.
Is this okay, honey? You got through with it?
Yes, miss.
All right. Matthias, now that you understand your calculator better, are you getting through
Yes,
with
miss.
it?
Yes, miss.
Perfect. Safira, is it all right?
Yep.
What about you, Faith? Where is my girl?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, guys, let's take a short 10-minute break. So we will start back at 10 past, I mean, 5:15, and I'm gonna give you all something to do when you come back. Zoom the recording for this part. All right, so in number 3, we have our angle of reference. The opposite side would be KL, right? Since that's the side opposite the angle of reference. And the side marked X, which is the side we're interested in finding, is the hypotenuse, since it is the side that is opposite the right angle. The ratio that uses the opposites and hypotenuse is sine. So if you recall, sine of an angle theta is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. This means that if I were to substitute my values in there, it'll be sine of 55 degrees is equal to the opposite side, which is 8 over the hypotenuse, which is x. In this case, guys, whenever the unknown side is in the denominator, you have to divide the known side by the sine of the angle. However, the actual steps in doing it is you'll say x times the sine of 55 is equal to 8 times 1, which is 8. So to make x the subject here, since this is x multiplied by sine of 55, x will be equal to 8 divided by sine of 55. All right, and that is equal to, I am running out of spacer, so that's why I write in mine like that. You would write yours properly, line by line. So you'll do 8 divided by sine of 55, which will give you 9.77 centimeters taken to two decimal places. Joshua, do you see where your mistake is, honey?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so you have to be careful with that part, okay? And I think I saw that mistake from you too, Matt.
Yeah, miss.
Yeah, so when it's in the denominator, you have to divide the known side by the sine of the angle. But the proper algebraic method is just that you're cross multiplying. So to make x a subject, you would have to first say x by sine of 55 is equal to 8 times 1. So therefore, x will be 8 divided by sine of 55. All right, I'm going to do number 4. Um, just so in number 4, we have our angle of reference over here. Remember, the sides that we're interested in are only the given side and the side we want to find, right? So the given side is 25, which is opposite the right angle. So that is your hypotenuse. And then the side adjacent to your angle of reference is x. So the ratio that uses adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So therefore, cos of an angle is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So now let's substitute our values in there. It'll be cos of 60 is equal to adjacent, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 25. In this case, the numerator is the unknown, so you're just gonna have to cross multiply, and it'll end up being x times 1, so you get x by itself, right, which is the objective anyway, times 25 times cos of 60. So this answer will be x is equal to 25 multiplied by cos of 60, which is 12.5. Okay, guys? I'm going to just pause to check. So I see some of you all sent your work, so I'm going to check it now. All right. So in number 5, we have our angle of reference is 25 degrees. The side opposite that is x, and then the side adjacent to that is 20. All right, so you have your opposite and your adjacent. Therefore, the ratio that we will use here is tangent. So tan of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. All right. Therefore, tan of the angle of interest here is 25 degrees is equal to the opposite side, which is x, over the adjacent side, which is 20. All right, so let's put it over 1, and then we cross multiply. So we say x times 1. So we already have x by itself, and now we multiply tan 25 times 20. So 20 times tan 25. Remember, this is multiplication, so it's commutative, meaning it doesn't matter if you say tan 25 times 20 or 20 times tan 25. Still gonna get the same answer. And on your calculator, you type 20 tan 25, which you will get 9.35 to two decimal places, right? All of these I'm taking to two decimal places. Oh, sorry, 9.33, not 35. Sorry about that. 9.33. All right. Next one, number 6. Our angle of reference here is 23 degrees. The side opposite that is 30 centimeters. That's your opposite side. And then the side marked X is your hypotenuse. All right. So the ratio that uses opposites and hypotenuse is sine. we recall the ratio sine of an angle x or theta, just an unknown angle, is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Therefore, sine of this angle, 23 degrees, is equal to your opposite side, which is 30, over the hypotenuse, which is x. In this case, guys, when you have the unknown side in the denominator, you have to do a little more rearranging, right? It's not as straightforward as multiplying 30 by sine of 23. Instead, you have to multiply, cross multiply here, so you'll get x times 23, sorry, x times sine of 23 is equal to 1 times 30. And therefore, x will be equal to 30 divided by sine of 23. So x is equal to 30 divided by sine of 23 is 76.78 cm. All right, so be careful with that one, guys, when you have to cross multiply. In number 7, the angle of reference is here. It's 40 degrees. So the side marked 11 is the hypotenuse. That's opposite the right angle. And then the side adjacent to 40 degrees will be your adjacent side. The ratio that uses adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So we recall that the cos of an angle is equal to the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And now we substitute our values in there. So it will be cos of our angle of interest, which is 40 degrees, is equal to the adjacent side, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 11. All right. And now you cross multiply. So you say x times 1, well, that would give you x, is equal to 11 multiplied by cos of 40. All right, so x is equal to 11 cos of 40 is 8.43. And then finally, the last one, our angle of interest is 52 degrees. The side opposite 52 degrees is 13 centimeters, and the side adjacent to it is marked x. The ratio that uses the opposite and adjacent is tangent. So we recall that tan of an angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. And now we substitute our values in there. So tan of 52 degrees is equal to the opposite side, which is 13, over the adjacent side, which is x. All right, again, the unknown side is in the denominator here. So to rearrange to make x the subject, you have to divide 13 by tan of 52. Algebraically, it looks like this. Well, x times tan of 52 is equal to 1 times 13. Therefore, x is equal to 13 divided by tan of 52. So that means x is equal to 10.16. All right, guys. So that is how you find an unknown side when you have an angle and a given side. So just to summarize, when the unknown side is in the denominator, you divide the known side by the tan of the angle, right? You could try to remember it by that, like that, but if you don't remember it like that, it would help to do cross multiplication, right? So you multiply the numerator from one side by the denominator on the other side. and vice versa. And then you rearrange the equation to make x the subject. So like in this example, in this question 1, you had tan of 35 is equal to 4 over x. If you cross multiply, it'll be x multiplied by tan 35 is equal to 4 times 1, which is 4. And therefore, if x multiplied by tan 35 is 4, then you would have to divide by tan 35 on both sides to get rid of the tan 35 on the side with x. So x would be equal to 4 divided by tan 35. You type that directly into your calculator and you will get the answer. All right, guys. Now, when the unknown side is in the numerator, well, that's way more straightforward because it'll just be the known side multiplied by the cos, tan, or sine of the angle. As in the case with number 2, where you have cos 45 is equal to x over 5. So cross multiplying, it'll be 1 times x, which gives me x, and 5 times cos of 45, which means that x is equal to 5 multiplied by cos of 45. All right, guys? So anyhow you want to remember it, whether you think of it algebraically or you memorize that when the unknown side is in the denominator, you divide the known side by the tan of the angle, or when the unknown side is in the numerator, you multiply the cos of the cos or sine or tan of the angle by the known side. However you want to remember it is fine. I would always recommend learning the algebraic steps just in case, so you could always solve it no matter if you forget the steps or not. All right, guys, we're going to stop there for today.